When you come into a new place, listen, don't talk, listen, learn. It's like a chess game. We're not brain surgeons, we're not heart surgeons. Nobody's going to down the table, let's calm down. It's only work.
How would they describe you as their manager?
When my employees go on vacation, many times I do their job because each one of us is just a part of a machine that works really well.
What challenges or additional challenges do you think women or young girls have if they're interested in coming into marketing or coding or whatever it might be?
I'll hold your hand for a couple of seconds and then you need to run. You need to fly out. No problem in failing. Because if you don't try new stuff, you're not going to fail. Look at Elon Musk. How many times has he failed?
What advice would you give to a young man just starting out?
Shut up.
Welcome to the next episode of Talk with the Scot. I'm here at the offices of Secondnature. Check them out. I will put the link on the screen with the VP of Marketing. Thank you for meeting me, Mali.
You're very welcome.
So I have a thing where whenever I'm meeting somebody, I ask them the same first question, which is, as the VP of Marketing or as a senior person, what characteristics do you think a manager needs to possess, show, demonstrate when they're in the working environment?
I think the characteristics that I tend to think of came from my bad experiences with managers during the years. Whenever I'd run across a really bad manager, I would say to myself, as a young woman in my career, this is not something that I'm going to do when I manage people. So for me, a good manager is obviously professional, but human. Somebody whose main goal is to make her team succeed. How do I help you succeed is one of the questions that I will ask a team member. Install in your employees the fact that failure is okay. And you learn from failure. You just need to look at it in a certain way. So a good manager for me is somebody who's human, kind, professional, and wants their team to succeed by helping them succeed, by putting their chips into what makes that certain employee good and not harboring on the stuff that the employee doesn't do well or can't do well.
Okay, so it's interesting. One of the reasons why I ask everybody the same first question is because everybody's got their own, their own thoughts, their own thinking behind what makes a good manager. So let's move on from that a little bit, because taking all those skill sets that you've just outlined, let's talk about minimum requirements. So, and I'm asking you this because I know that somebody just left your team, you've just recruited somebody. So when you're recruiting somebody, what are you looking for? What are your minimum requirements that your team need to basically work towards?
It's a good question, because there's the obvious. We all want the professional people. Although I am a manager who believes in taking raw talent and growing a person from within. It depends, where you are in the startup, where you are in the cycle, if you can take somebody like that or not. But many times I do prefer to bring people who I see the talent in them and they grow within my team. But I think the minimum, and I always say this when I'm interviewing people, is I need to like the person. These are people we're going to be working with. They're going to be working with us. We need to like each other. There needs to be a common ground to that. Beyond that, it needs to be somebody who will run with me. I'm not very good at hand holding. I'll hold your hand for a couple of seconds and then you need to run. You need to fly out. I'm there. I'll catch you if you fall. I'll support you. I'll give you everything that I can to make you succeed, but I do not micromanage. And if you're the kind of person who needs micromanaging, and I've met these kind of people, that's great, but it won't work.
Okay, so I want to take you back to when you started your professional career. Because you started at turned into it's a big company, Amdocs.
Yes, it was OIC when I joined.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So you started on your journey there, and I want to just read a few names, because I've obviously been doing a little bit of research into you and your professional career beforehand, and certainly in the last few weeks, maybe a couple of months, you've been more active on LinkedIn.
Right.
You've been posting a lot of sort of managerial and some funny stuff. I will put Mali's LinkedIn profile also on the screen. Check her out. So, Ruthie White Leopold, Ziv Leishman, Odi Kedar, Mike Tellen, Gabby Israel, Tanya Amar, Karen Zimmerman, Zeph Nisbet, and Brad Prizer.
Fitzer.
Prizer?
Yeah.
You tagged all of them when you did a post where you were talking about like people that had an impact in your professional career,
Yeah.
and these were the sort of 8 or 9 people that you specifically mentioned.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go through each one, but why? What was special about these people?
First of all, these are, along my career, these are the managers, the people who manage me, who had the most impact on both my professional well-being and just as a person well-being. All of them have some common traits. One of them being they're very human. They saw me as a person. Secondly, highly professional, very smart people, driven, charismatic, and easy to work with. Not micromanagers. Let me run, and I run fast. I sometimes come across banging my head on the wall, but I run fast. So that's the commonality. I learned from each one of them so much, and I would work with them gladly again and again and again.
And you think the skills that you learned from each of those people you brought with you and you have in place here?
I hope so, because I admire them. Karen, she's one of the most driven women I've ever met. I took that from her. Don't be afraid to be assertive. Ruthie is wise and strategic. Udi is calm and calculating. Whenever I'd get upset, Udi would go, "Not your father's company, calm down." And I find myself telling my employees, we're not brain surgeons, we're not heart surgeons, nobody's going to die on the table, let's calm down. It's only work. From each one, Ziv is very deep dive. From each one, I think I've taken things that have helped me become a sufficient manager. I can't attest on myself if I'm a good manager or not, that's only my employees. But I do feel that I don't do the things that were done to me that I hated and that discouraged me as an employee. And I do try and do the things that made me feel very appreciated and pushed me forward.
Okay. You just mentioned your staff.
Yeah.
How would they describe you as their manager? What would they say about you?
It depends which ones you ask. I don't know. I hope. I can tell you what I hope. I hope that they say I drive them, but I drive them with wisdom, with patience, with explanations, and with openness to, I see us as a team. Okay, I'm the manager. The bottom line stops with me, and I'm accountable to the CEO, but we're a team. And that means that everybody gets to say, many times I listen, and they're the expert matters in certain things. They get to set the tone, not me. I'm there to support them. I'm there to catch it when something goes wrong. We're there to work together to make it all happen. And I can tell you that when my employees go on vacation, many times I do their jobs. Because each one of us is just a part of a machine that works really well.
I would agree with a lot of what you just said, and it's funny because one of the things that I often say to my team, I need you to try and test things, fail, and don't worry about it because I will eat the shit.
Right, exactly. I'm here for you.
Yeah. Is there a balance that we need to strike between somebody failing and not taking ownership, or somebody failing and learning from it to then go on and make progress?
Yeah. It's funny that you say that, because what I tell my employees is no problem in failing. Because if you don't try new stuff, you're not going to fail. If you don't try new stuff, you become a stagnatic marketeer who does more of the same, which I hate. More of the same is, bad. But I tell them, if you're trying something new, you better be on it. And if you discover that it doesn't work, which should come in a week or two, you better discover it in a week or two. Understand why it didn't work. Go back and do something differently. Don't do the same twice. If you do the same twice, we've got a problem and we need to speak about it. But if you fail, you know why you failed, and you're doing some things differently, I'm good with that. Some of our best marketing successes have come from failures before. So let's do it.
Just here or in your previous company?
In all my companies. And my biggest successes came from failures. A lot of projects that failed. Look at Elon Musk. How many times has he failed? All the great people that I know of and that I've read of have failed a gazillion times. But the thing that differentiates them from other people is that they don't give up, they understand why they failed, and they do differently. And I think that's in the essence of winners.
So what's been your biggest failure?
Wow, I've had so many. I think during the years, in the formative years, like in the beginning, it's a big failure of mine was understanding the political kind of landscape. Politics are as important as what you do in your job. So understanding the landscape, what to say, when to say, how to say. I think one of my biggest mistakes was Tanya Amal, who was my boss, who's just an energetic, charismatic woman, very smart, told me once that my problem is that I'm the kind of person who will walk in the street, see a hole, and right away cover it so that nobody falls. And she said, well, you need to get to that hole and start asking questions, because it might be that somebody's bringing a plant to put in that hole, or they're building a bridge, or you don't ask, you do. And that's great, but you miss out along the way. So I've learned to stop and ask, especially when it comes to sales. Why do you want this? What are you going to do with it? How often are you going to use it? Can we do it differently? And asking questions just, first of all, cut down the amount of work that you do. You're going to be much more efficient, and you're going to do things better. So I think those are the major mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes, with choosing certain companies and sticking with them through thick and through thin when I should have fired them because I was uncomfortable, because I thought I'd give them another chance, and also deep diving. We'll say, for instance, SEO, which, at first, a couple of years ago when it all started, I brought in a company and whatever they said, I was like, yay, okay, whatever you said. I think a VP marketing should understand in everything. I don't have to be the expert, I'm not the expert, but you should have hands-on experience in knowing what the companies that you bring in to do and how well they do it, and you should be checking. You should be, I think, following numbers is really important. Numbers talk. We all have an opinion, that's great. Back it up by numbers, something that I've learned during the years.
So talking about numbers, because numbers is the key.
Yeah.
So what process do you go through when you're setting KPIs, or you're measuring your team, or even yourself? Like when you sit down and you think, okay, in 6 months' time I want to go from here and grow by 40%.
Yeah.
How do you arrive at that number?
Well, actually, I don't. My CEO said that number, and usually it's an exuberant number which has no connection to what we're doing. But somehow he sets those numbers and we get to them. But what we usually do is reverse engineering, talking numbers. So each week we have an ongoing report, my team and I, where we look at all the numbers across the board and how they've changed. We look for insights, we look for changes, we look to see what's new. We discuss what we're going to do the next week. It really is a weekly thing. And each half quarter, we go through everything and we check where we are. So when we're coming towards the end of a quarter, to set the KPIs to the next quarter is actually something that we do with sales and the CEO. I do with sales and CEO. I need to know what the CEO is committed to in terms of pipeline sales, and then we reverse engineer that. Those numbers are also determined on cost of leads, cost of successful meetings, all of those things. So it really is a mathematical accumulation with whatever the CEO wants.
Okay.
It's a mix of variables that make sense and some that don't.
Okay. So you have experience of working in corporate as well as startups.
Yeah, I've done all. I've done enterprises, I've done medium, I've done startups.
Okay. What are the biggest differences in your opinion?
I think I've stuck to startups in the last few years because you run very fast. There's no bureaucracy. The decision making is very quick, and you can change strategy really fast. Saying that, you're always on the point of no budget and guerrilla marketing and cutting back or moving forward with less, and it's a very stressful environment. I seem to thrive in that. Although I do love enterprises, and my biggest fantasy is that one day I'll go back to an enterprise position.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
In an enterprise, you've got more budgets. There's more room to try new things, although it's more stagnatic in thinking. But I think I can bring a lot of things into an enterprise today that they don't have, given the opportunity. But for right now, I'm hooked. I'm a junkie of startups. So I'm here right now.
So I'm surprised that you said, because we've known each other, I don't know, 4 or 5 years maybe.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you said that one day you would like to go back into...
I want to rest in an enterprise.
No, but that surprised me, because the Mali that I know is, very fast-paced, very focused on achieving the results for the next quarter and whatever period it is. So to go back into that environment where it's like, much slower.
Yes, but my fantasy is maybe to bring part of what I learned in the startup world into the enterprise world. Create a mini marketing startup within an enterprise and really reinvent how marketing is done in an enterprise.
You think you can do that?
I don't know, but I want to try.
Interesting.
Hey,
interesting.
If I fail, I learn, right? And if I succeed, wow.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just go off topic for a second, because I've got a daughter, 12 years old, very intelligent. You're obviously incredibly successful in your career to date, and I'm sure beyond you'll continue to be so. What challenges or additional challenges do you think women or young girls have if they're interested in coming into marketing or coding or whatever it might be?
I think we live in a very modern world, but women are still, there's a double standard between women and men. First of all, we still have a glass ceiling. We still earn less than most men. I don't know if that's so true in marketing, but I think it's still true in other places. The other thing is that what you're allowed to do, or what you are and who you are, is always different when you look at men and women. There's certain things that a woman can say and not get away with that a man can't say. I always laugh because there used to be like this post where if a man said it, he's assertive. If a woman said it, she's aggressive. There's still that double standard. Yes, I can tell you that in all the management teams that I sat, it was always more men than women. So the suggestions I would give your daughter is, first of all, be you. Be you. Second of all, when you come into a new place, listen. Don't talk. Listen. Learn. It's like a chess game. Understand what motivates people, what moves people. Many times you'll come in with a great solution, but somebody has an ego, somebody has an agenda. You need to understand how to move people around in a nice way, not a manipulative way, but in a smart way. And that she should know that there is a double standard for women. And once you're aware of it, there are ways around it. And it doesn't hurt that much. And it's changing all the time. It's much better now than it was when I was like in my 20s, which was crazy. Yeah. Follow your heart. Think.
So then, based on that, what advice would you give to a young Mali just starting out?
Shut up. Shut up. Stop. Ask questions. Don't be in the doing all the time. Learn the people around you. Learn the politics. Oh, I put my foot in my mouth at Amdocs in the beginning, left, right, and center.
From what?
I learned the hard way though. I got like knocks on the wrist, but as I always say, 10 years in Amdocs taught me more than any other company. And when you swim with sharks for 10 years, then everything else seems like sardines. So somehow we tend to learn more from our failures, from the stuff that's our shortcoming. I always see that with my kids, that when they go through hard times, I need to remind myself that this is good. I'm here for you, but you need to go through it so you learn. Because even if I tell you, it won't help. Yeah. Even if I went back into Mali, who's like 26 and starts working in Amdocs, and I told her these things, she'd look at me like I was crazy. She'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Excuse my French. So I am happy for everything that I learned. I'm happy for all those little bangs on the wrist. And I was blessed with so many amazing managers that taught me through good stuff, through motivating me and not through hitting me on the nose.
You've worked, you mean the startup scene in Israel, the tech scene in Israel. Yes, it's going through a bit of a challenging period at the moment, but there's new companies launching, on a weekly basis.
Yeah, daily.
Why is that? What's the difference between the scene here compared to the scene in, the UK or America, wherever it might be?
I think first of all, we're workaholics, really, and we're overachievers. There's a drive to succeed like no other, and I think the startup world is elusive because a lot of people are getting a lot of money. A lot of people who don't know how to manage money, who don't know how to stagger their expenses, who are just brilliant people, but have no managerial possibilities. And there's a lot of money moving around, which is waiting to be invested. I think it's interesting. I think the amount of startups closing is also staggering. So it's kind of an even Steven.
Do you think there's a higher threshold here to failure? Like risk takers, so okay, if it doesn't work, if it fails, I'm moving on to my next project.
Yeah, look, this country, I believe, our DNA is set in we might die any minute. I think most of us walk around with that feeling. I just came from a long conference in the UK, and what I felt there is suddenly how tight I am here. Like when I walk in the streets, when I look around, I don't think I realized that because it's the first time I went abroad in a long time. We're very held together. And I think that's also in the world of anything that we do, which is startups, for instance, is that we go in very powerful, but we know it might die today, it might die, okay. We're chameleons, I think. And I think Israelis are chameleons, for better or worse, by the way. Because I think many times we quit while we're ahead because we think we know what's coming up and it's not good. And we're kind of pessimistic in certain things and very optimistic, stupidly optimistic in other things.
I was going to say, optimistic to the point of being naive?
Yes, exactly. It's kind of this crazy scale. But that's what makes us unique, Lovable and hateable all at the same time.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, you're first generation Israeli. Your parents are from the UK? Or?
My mother UK and my father from Syria.
Okay. Did that give you additional challenges? Like you're first generation here.
Yeah.
So does that give you more motivation or more barriers, more challenges to deal with?
I never thought of that. I think my father was a very hardworking person. I mean, very hardworking. He managed stuff in a leading shipping agency. He started at the age of 16. He's a self-built man, pretty amazing. My mother was the typical Brit, didn't know how to cook. She learned from my grandmother, from my father's side. Very polite, very closed, but with a good sense of humor, very dark sense of humor, Monty Python kind of. So I always had this combination in me, which was very peculiar, like the aggressive go-getter from the Syrian side, and the very polite, expecting people to be as polite from the British side. So that, I think, caused some conflict in many places, like when we lived abroad, and then when we came here, it was a different culture. And still, at my age, I still find myself sometimes going, oh, how can that be so impolite? Or why did they ask this question? I would never ask this question. So yeah, there's a bit of mix there. I think it's cultures. I think it's living around the world as I did for many, many years. It's a lot of, we're a cocktail of people, and we're a cocktail of feelings, and we're a cocktail of reactions, yada, yada, yada.
But you are very polite.
Well, compared to an Israeli, but I'm very straightforward and authentic. So it's kind of, again, there's that mix that we said, hot, cold, it just depends, yeah.
And you think that helps in your managerial career? Having that mix as opposed to just totally focused one set rule? I
think anything that you decide is a one set rule is bad, because I think it doesn't leave place for flexibility. If how I am is good, I think there's certain cases where it's great, and there's certain cases where I shoot myself in the foot, just like all of us.
So give me an example.
Of shooting myself in the foot?
Yeah.
The polite thing, I can get very offended when people aren't polite, instead of understanding that I live in Israel and people aren't like me. The assertive thing and the authenticity, I don't think everybody's built for authenticity, and sometimes I'm very direct. I'll say, no, I don't like this, or maybe I should sugarcoat things a little bit more. I try. It's funny because I see the same things in you, by the way.
Probably.
You're very Scottish and polite, but you can be very...
Yeah.
Mali, what are you doing? Call me now.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. And I love that, by the way.
No, I like it as well. It works for me. But I'm also seeing when I'm dealing with younger people that they have less tolerance or threshold to that level of directness or just being very forthright. So do you find that you have to tailor your approach depending on definitely who you're speaking to, but the age
Yeah.
age of the person that you're
I'll tell you what, I think the people that I've come across which are younger, I call it instant pudding. Why? Because I think this new generation, and they're fabulous, don't get me wrong. They're smart, they're creative, but they expect, the instant pudding thing, where you take the instant pudding, you put the lime, mix it, and there, bam, pudding, and it doesn't work that way, okay? You have to work a lot to get to that pudding, and they're not there. For them, there's instant gratification, and that for me is very hard, and I need to stop myself, breathe, and explain why there's no instant gratification. Why you don't need to run ahead so many times. You need to stop. You need to listen. You need to think. You need to look at things. You need to do them differently, and that's where I find things challenging a bit sometimes.
Okay. You moved from cybersecurity to Secondnature.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people were in the company when you joined, but I don't think so many.
Yeah.
And it's grown a crazy amount.
Yeah.
What part have you played in that growth? And obviously a huge part because you're the VP of marketing, but the impact that you had across the entire company, really. I think just like owning failures, we should own successes as well.
Embarrassing, but you're right. I think when you're part of a management team in a startup, you have a lot of responsibility. It's not only for the success, monetary success, it's for the relationships you have with the other departments. It's for the well-being of the employees. It really is a holistic way to look at a startup. I truly believe that people who love coming to work will do a better job. I truly believe that people who are happy and are seen will do a better job and just be happy human beings in general, which is nice to be around happy human beings. I think what I did bring with me when I joined Secondnature almost 3 years ago is strategy, is a go-getter approach, is really an abundance of energy. I remember I interviewed for a place and then I worked for Ziv Leshem at Optitex. After they interviewed me, and Ziv was amazing because he just tracked me down, wouldn't let me go until I came to work for him. I left the interview and then they told me they had labeled me as Mali Tak. And tak means tak, and I do. My energies are very let's get it done, let's move. And I think that's what I bring in. I think, and I hope I also bring in the human part. I will see when employees are feeling down or they're sick, or if I see if there's something wrong. We don't have a VP HR, unfortunately. But I do try and listen to what people are saying and take that up into the management and try and change things if I think that they're not working right.
So there's no HR department.
Right.
What's the recruitment process like? How do you go about finding the talent that you want?
Well, I just hired a head of digital, and I sat down and I wrote the job description based on what I wanted. I also wrote a home assignment, which was short. It was 2 hours long. I don't believe in days of home assignments. And then Ellie, our office admin, she advertised, and she, based on basic criteria, and today LinkedIn is very, very efficient. You can write the basic criteria, and if somebody, the AI matches you up, she went through the first bunch and sent me the ones that she thought most relevant, and I interviewed all of them. And if they passed the first interview, which is more a meet and greet, I want to see who you are as a person.
Yeah.
I've seen your resume. Okay, fine. Yeah. We'll get to first I want to feel you. I want to understand what makes you tick, what you like, if you fit within the DNA of the company. When they did, they moved to the next level, which was, come tell me about your professionalism. How do you do this? How do you see this? How do you run with this? Then they got a home assignment. They passed the home assignment. They went to the CEO. They passed the CEO. They're hired.
Okay.
Yay! Very short.
So a lot of the recruitment process for working with you is done more on personality and feel. And I'm saying that, and I saw this a few years ago when we were living in Scotland for a couple of years, and my wife was searching for a job. The forms and the questions was incredible.
Yeah.
And it's more ticking a box as opposed to that feeling. Really,
but at the end of the day, you don't work with a box. You work with a person.
I agree.
Yeah. So for me, I always say, I can have somebody come in who's the most professional person I've ever met. I think they're going to kill it in their job and they're lousy people or they just don't fit, I won't hire them. It's not enough. There's a balance there of how you are as a person and who you are and how you are professional. And I'd rather you be a little less professional and a little more human than the other way around.
Yeah.
I can teach you how to be more professional. I can't teach you how to be more human.
That's true. And then on the flip side, at what point do you decide this person's not working out? I need to move them on. Like what process do you go through?
Very bad at that. I'm very bad at that because it's very hard for me to give up on people.
Because you're a good person.
I don't know if I'm a good person. I'm a naive person. I always think that if a person wants something enough, they can achieve it, and that maybe I'm not doing my job right. If somebody's not achieving their numbers or not getting to the, I always look to what I'm doing wrong. So it's very hard for me to get to a point where I fire people. That's one of my shortcomings, I admit. But lately I've understood in the last few years that when I don't do that, I hurt the person and I hurt the company and I hurt myself. That a person that is constantly failing and not will feel disgruntled, will feel pain, will feel, so I'm not doing them a favor by not firing them. So I'll say this, I do give it my 150% to try and change the way things are done, to listen to the person, see where I can help, where we can make them succeed rather than fire them. So it's a long process till I fire. I do fire today, but I can be more efficient at it probably, but I'm not there yet.
When you're going through any process with staff, how are you at giving feedback? Because I think it's...
Wow, you have to ask my employees. I hope I'm gentle, but I know that sometimes I'm not.
Right, but you wait and it just sits on you for a while and then you just lose it, or instant feedback?
Okay, so if it's something that's really, really bad, that's happened before, and then I sit on it because I don't want to lose it. And I think that any kind of conversation like that needs to be very professional. And it needs to say, you don't look for who's guilty, you look for how do we make this better. People go into conversations going, okay, who done it? Who done it? What'd you do? You're guilty. No. I like to think that I go into conversations saying, okay, this was done wrong. What do we do better? How do we fix it? And what do we do next? And most of the time, I do succeed in doing that. I think. Okay, ask my employees. Next podcast, ask my employees.
No, because the reason why I'm asking.
But that's my DNA is go towards resolution, explain why you think it's wrong, listen to what the other person says, see how you make it better, and what are the next steps.
Okay, because I remember watching an interview years ago. Obviously, as you know, I'm a big football fan.
Yeah.
Soccer.
Soccer, yeah.
And I remember watching an interview with a football manager, and he said, at this level, you expect to have to tell the player once.
Right.
If you have to tell the same thing to the same player for a second time, you're thinking, if you have to repeat it for a third time, you know that they're not cut for this level.
Wow.
So I'm not saying we're not the professional sports environment, but the principles to some extent is still the same. If you're having to explain the same stuff over and over and over and over again to the same person,
that's when you need to cut it. Yeah, that's when you need to cut them loose. And I've seen people who, not so much in my department, but I've seen people who are mismatched and they were held on and it just became so bad. And when they were let go, they actually found different jobs completely which matched their personality and their skill set much better. They were happier, the company was happier. So I do see this as a two-way street. Many of us hang on as an employee and also as somebody who's employed. You don't want to lose your wages, you don't want to lose it. Even if you feel in your gut that you're not doing a good job, that it's not meant for you, it's very hard to venture out there. You need to be brave.
So I agree with that. Me and you exchanged messages a while back because we were talking about recruiting.
Right.
And in the past, it was very much somebody's going to interview. It's up to the candidate to impress.
No.
Whereas certainly, there's been a shift where it's not just about the candidate having to impress. It's also whoever the company is that's recruiting needing to sell the company.
Right.
Because young people or people have got options. So somebody comes in for an interview, what would you tell them about Secondnature?
First of all, I would tell them that Secondnature is a place that employees like coming to in the morning. So do I. In the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, whatever. They like coming to work. That the general DNA of the company is well-being. It's a go-getter, but very open. No ego. We have no ego here. It's amazing. You can walk into the CEO, walk out, walk in. He's so easygoing that way. He's so open to criticism. All of us are, or to new ideas, which makes this place so nice. We all get along really well. Like if you come and see our lunchtime, we all eat at the same hour. Oh my God, hayistadut. But we all sit there, we enjoy each other's company. We enjoy creating things together. With that said, we're very go-getters. We have very tough KPIs and we reach them. We do everything, but we help each other reach them. Sales and marketing here, we're like this. Me and the CRO, beyond us being good friends, we just work well together. Sales and marketing works well together. Product and R&D here work really well together. That is an anomaly. Most of the companies that I've worked at, that doesn't work so well.
What are the implications of that if they don't work well?
Conflict. A lot of conflict. Things are stopped halfway through. Failure many times. I'm here because the two founders are egoless. They're really like down-to-earth people. That is what you see around. Everybody has fuck-ups, yeah? It is not utopia here.
Yeah.
But in that term, yeah, it is nice working here.
So what does the future hold for Secondnature?
Ooh. Well, you need to like follow us on LinkedIn. But we're doing a lot of new add-ons to our product. We just closed a really nice deal with a major name brand, which I hope to like send out there in the next few weeks. As AI training is becoming such a, instead of a fad and being, able to educate actually people coming to us and asking for it, we're just seeing growth in everything that has to do with training through role plays. So avatars that move, that look like people. It's kind of eerie, but kind of cool.
Yeah.
Kind of scary, but kind of, I want one. We're just seeing an explosion of AI, and it's just going to get more and more.
So that's what I was going to ask you. Obviously, Secondnature, real market leader, cutting edge in this industry. But where do you see like marketing, digital marketing or traditional marketing? It's really blowing up.
Well, people are saying, no, AI is going to take your job. Blah, blah, blah. I don't think so. I think that in the next 5 years, we're going to have a lot of hybrid models. We're going to have AI doing a lot of things, but humans checking them, deciding. The decision is going to be in humans' hands. In 5 years, I don't know if I'll have a job. I have no idea. Yeah, I think there are going to be certain startups and certain companies that just switch to AI deciding and running everything. I don't know how good that will be, but I do think that in the meantime, it's hybrid models. Use AI to just make things better, to just look at information and make wiser decisions and more strategic decisions. Yeah.
So for future generations, then, somebody that's coming through college or university,
go be a data scientist. Go learn how to be a data scientist.
Yeah, you think?
Go do natural language patterns, stuff like that. Work with your hands, stuff that an AI will never be able to do. Be a doctor, be an electrician, be a music teacher.
Don't be a marketer.
Don't be a marketer. I say that, but in my heart of hearts, I think that humans will always have something that AI won't have, and that's a gut feeling. That's reading people. People buy from people they like. It's very hard to like an AI. No matter how much we make them human, they're not going to have emotions, not for the next 20 years. After that, who knows? So I still believe that we're fine, and even as a marketeer, if I'm still good at what I do, I think I'm going to be fine. Yeah.
Last night, you posted on LinkedIn, and it made me laugh.
Yeah.
You talked about...
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? I agree with you, obviously.
Yeah.
Just treat people with, it's obvious and it's common sense, just treat people with respect.
Yeah.
But where did it come from?
I think this will make you laugh. It didn't even come from work. Yesterday I took the car to work, which I don't do anymore. And driving here, don't be a dick, is a big... People are not nice on the roads. They're dicks.
Yeah.
Sorry. And I came in and I thought, and this post that Yoel Carmeli had posted 2 years ago came up, and I thought, voila, don't be a dick in anything that you do in life. And I found it funny, and I love funny. I do funny. So that's where it came from.
All right. So last point. I love the saying, failure is a bruise, not a tattoo.
Ooh, I love that.
Talk about one point in your professional career where that's applicable, and how did you deal with that? How did you come out the other side?
Wow.
What did you learn?
I think at some point in my career, I was looking for a job. I had like 3 offers on the table. My gut told me to go with one of them, but one of them was paying $1 gazillion. No, I'm just kidding, but a lot of money. And I went with a job that was very highly paid. I left after 6 months. I learned the hard way that the most important thing for me is here. If I feel it, if I feel that I can work with the people, that I feel that the person who's going to manage me is somebody that I will appreciate and enjoy working with, then the money doesn't really matter. I mean, it matters if somebody's paying 10 shekels an hour and the other person is paying 1 shekel an hour, obviously suck it up and be there.
Yeah.
But if the differences are like 10 or 20% either way, go with your gut. Go with the person that you like. Go with, I went to cyber, and I'm not sorry about it, but I realized while in cyber that I really don't like marketing cyber. Most of the solutions in cyber, for me, boring. Don't love it. I have a lot of friends who love it, and I appreciate that. I need a product that's sexy, that I can explain it within 2 minutes of understanding what it is, that whoever's explaining it to me can explain it to me within 10 minutes. So I realized product, people, then wages. So that's a mistake that I didn't make after that.
Okay. You work hard. I know you work hard because I get messages from you at all different times of the day and night.
No, but I also do the stuff that I love.
So that's what I was going to ask you.
Okay.
How do you switch off? What do you do when you're away from here just to zone out? Or equally as important, what do you do that really drives the machine to get the creative juices going?
So it's funny because the Americans say, my best ideas come in the shower. Now, why is that? Because when we're in the shower, we let go. And then suddenly things pop up. We're so, at least I'm so wound up all day long. Numbers, meetings, KPIs, that I don't really get to think. So for me, sports has always been all my life. It's the love of my life. It's my therapy. I am a Pilates teacher now. I teach twice a week, that kind of, and I do sports almost every day. And in sports, because I work my body really, really hard, I let go of here. When I let go of here, first of all, it calms me down. And second of all, you'd be surprised how many of my brilliant ideas, or at least I think they're brilliant, come after sports. The other thing, and this is my guilty pleasure, don't judge me, is stupid reality shows. Love Chatunami, Love is Blind. I think you can be an intelligent person and still enjoy these shows. Because what happens to me in these shows is my brain shuts off.
Okay.
There's only the guilty pleasure. I don't think about anything. I watch these. I enjoy the voyeurism in them. I enjoy the social, social proof in them and stuff like that. So those are 2 things. And obviously spending time with my family, spending time with my friends, spending time with my boyfriend, and cooking. Cooking really relaxes me. So those are the things that I do.
Well,
you
continue to enjoy your guilty pleasures.
I will.
Thank you for your time. It's been great speaking with you.
Thank you.